This is Rogue Wing, Coraline, or Helen RD over at Starship Modeler. Welcome to the workshop. Okay, having finished the helicarrier, actually ahead of deadline because the deadline's tomorrow and today's Thursday, questions come up. What's my next project? Well, anybody paying attention to the description scroll I put in the finale of the helicarrier got a little bit of a clue. There's a reference there to 12 XF-23 Black Widows. Well, as you and I are aware, there's no such thing as an XF-23 Black Widow. But there was a YF-23 Black Widow. In this case, we're going to start with the 1/144th Trumpeter kit. Or should I say, we're going to start with 3 of the 1/144th Trumpeter kit. Doing 3 of them because this build is not so much a single craft as what I call, set these down somewhere they're not going to fall down, what I call Omega Flight. Omega Flight consists of a squadron of XF-23 Black Widows. Using the 1/144th kit, partly because it was the only YF-23 kit I could find that wasn't pre-assembled and pre-painted, and it's to scale with Changewind 1. Now, getting to the meat of the matter, Trumpeter kit, the shape is, I don't know how dead-on accurate it is to the actual plane. It's close enough. I mean, when I look at it, I see a YF-23 Black Widow. So, I'm happy. Now, the detail, there is quite a bit of it actually, even for this size. And one of the things I'm impressed with is the fact that even at this small a scale, all of our panel lines are engraved. There's a little bit of a cockpit. Let's find it here. Yeah, there it is. There's a little bit of a cockpit with a small ejector seat, and I think on the other sprue is, yeah, there it is a little bitty frickin' control panel. I mean, obviously at that size, you're not going to see any detail once it's in the cockpit. Now, it does not have a pilot figure. It's designed to be built gear down, which is probably how I'm going to build it. Or build them, I should say. Obviously, I'm going to need to print up some Omega 7 markings for these guys. But, got our little clear canopy. It will need to be masked, but I'm not worried about it. After dealing with the 1/700th canopies on the helicarrier's planes, I don't mind dealing with these. Like I said, I'm going to be building 3 of them. The bottoms are going to wind up about the color of the plastic. Of course, the tops, to match Changewind 1, are going to wind up Tester's graphite dust. But that's where we're going. I'm basically looking for something relatively quick, relatively easy, to kind of get my mind settled, if you will, after dealing with the modifications and stuff that had to be done with the helicarrier. Because my next build, not this one, but the one after this, promises to be considerably more complicated. But for now, we're going to concentrate on what's on the bench, which right now is 3 1/44th scale XF-23 Blackbird, or Black Widows. Okay, actually working on building these little guys now. One advantage to working on something so small is you can work fairly quickly on it, yet at the same time get a lot done. Now, as you can see, I've got the cockpits in place on all three ships, as well as the nose gear landing well, and little ball fishing weight to help keep this thing from being a tail sitter. As you can see, the main landing gear is almost dead center amidship, which means, of course, these things would want to sit like this without some form of counterweight in the nose. Now, it's a max zoom and you still can't see anything. The cockpit doesn't really consist of a lot, but given the scale, I'm not really surprised. You've got an ejection seat that's decently detailed. Little tiny instrument panel. There are no pilot figures contained with the kit, but at this point I'm not that worried about it. If I really get worried about it, I have my little bag of seated N-scale figures I could use. And I probably will once I get that far. At this point, though, I'm more concerned with getting the ships built and going from there. Okay, been a while between segments, I admit, and I apologize, but we're getting there. Haven't been trying to rush this build because I'm still waiting for some stuff with the next project. But as you can see, I've got the intake grills in place on all three ships. Now, interestingly, the way Trumpeter set this up, instead of doing these grills as two pieces, this seam, let me see if I can get it, if we can zoom it in here, there we go. This seam here is actually a fold. These pieces are started live straight, and then you fold them to fit in the grills, and then glue them into place. Got the landing gear and the landing gear doors in place. I'm holding off putting the rudders slash tail planes on until after I get paint down, because that way it'll be easier to do the underside of the plane in one color and do the top side of the plane in another color, because the tail planes stay the same color as the top side of the plane. I've also got my Omega 7 Sigma markings, including lighter versions for the underside of the plane. Each rudder is actually going to get 2 of these, hence the reason I've got so many of the black Omega 7s. And then you get your US insignias. But at this point, putting it simply, we're getting there. Once the landing gears have a chance to cure, I can actually start seriously considering paint. Still debating putting pilots in the cockpit. At this size, nobody's really going to notice. The only advantage I'll have is it'll hide a couple of the mistakes I made in the cockpit. But we'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Stay tuned. Alright, at this point we are not close to paint on the Omega Flight project. As you can see, they are all sitting upright on their landing gear. They're all loose, and none of them are tail standing, which means the weights I put in the nose are doing their job. And at this point I am probably going to go ahead and put figures in the cockpits. We'll see how that goes in a bit. Stay tuned.